Down for the Count with Brandon Medina and Dan Cialana.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, ESPN San Antonio proudly brings to you the best show in the world. This is Down for the Count. I'm your man, Brandon Big Poppy Medina, here with my main man, the dangerous Dan Cialana, as always, with a very, very special guest, Mr. Stu Myrick from Sports Guys Talk Wrestling. What's going on, brother?
What's up, Stu?
What's up, y'all? How are things in beautiful San Antonio?
Oh my goodness! Listen. I think San Antonio is on the uptick, right, Dan? I mean, we're getting vaccines now. Things are happening over here. Obviously, we're learning some fun wrestling anecdotes we're going to talk about when it comes to WrestleMania. A great pay-per-view.
Rub it in, Brandon.
He loves to rub it in.
This past weekend, we had a great pay-per-view, Dan, which I paid full price for.
I want to see the receipt. Not like a wrestling receipt, but an actual like bank receipt. Right. Now, Stu Myrick from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, what you got to know about my tag team partner here, Brandon Big Poppy Medina, is that you've heard of the Undertaker's undefeated streak. Yeah. Brandon is undefeated in not paying for pay-per-views. So I don't believe him that he says he purchased this Impact Wrestling pay-per-view last weekend until I see the bank statement. Not the Sasha Banks statement, but the actual bank from your checking account statement.
Yeah, well, now I have to admit I have a few contacts. Being the host of Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn here in Austin, I have a few contacts. I have a few connections.
Hey, I noticed that.
You know,
we get around.
I get around having to dole out money.
Now, Stu Myrick, after the show, if you can just email your credentials for Impact Wrestling, the pay-per-views for the future, to our producer, James Pledger, and then,
look, I worked long and hard for Ross Foreman, the wonderful PR man with Impact Wrestling, to trust me. I think I'm going to try to keep that trust.
You're a good guy. He's a better guy than us, Brandon. Stu Myrick here.
I agree. However, we have huge news, obviously. Dan, first and foremost, let's talk about WrestleMania. We got some dates. We got some locations. We have a lot to dive into, not only in the future with WrestleMania coming back to Texas, but also fans are going to be possibly in attendance this year. Dan, Stu, what do you guys think about this huge announcement?
You like it, Stu? You're going to be there in person 2021 in Florida?
No, look, I'm skipping Tampa for the Super Bowl. Much to my, heartbreak, I won't get to hang out with your boys, Jason Minix and Rob Thompson down there in Tampa. So
don't worry, they ain't going either.
They're not going. Okay, well then, sounds like nobody's going. So I'm sure not going to go down there for WrestleMania. I think it's interesting. I think it is hopeful that they have fans. I'll be interested in seeing what they will allow, because we've seen it throughout the sports world, particularly in the NFL. And we're talking about Raymond James Stadium, the home of the Buccaneers or the Bradyneers or whatever you want to call them. You wonder what percentage of the stadium will be there. And it's interesting that they decide to do 2022 at Jerry World, because assuming things go well, like you mentioned, the vaccines and everything, and we finally get past this pandemic, that will likely be the first WrestleMania where they can blow it out. They can sell it out, 100,000. Now, remember when WrestleMania 32 was there? I was there in the press box.
I was as well.
101,000 they announced. It was probably closer to 97, 98. We know that AT&T Stadium can hold upwards of 100, 102, 104, depending on how they configure it, which they've used for whether it's, football or the Final Four or boxing or concerts. So it's interesting they decided to use AT&T Stadium for that, considering the fact that this year, WrestleMania is supposed to be in Los Angeles at SoFi. They decided to push SoFi to 2023.
Now, how much of it has got to suck though? To when you're in LA, you're thinking last year, like, oh my gosh, 2020 is so terrible. But at least I, as an Angelino living in Southern California in 2021, I get to see WrestleMania in person. And then you find out on Sunday night, actually, you got to wait 2 years to 2023. I mean, that's got to suck. I mean, as if living in Southern California doesn't suck enough. They got to get screwed this way too. But Stu, I'll ask you too. You know, you talked about the numbers for this year's WrestleMania. In March, I think is it March or April this year?
April.
In Tampa?
April 10th.
Okay.
It was supposed to be in March.
Right.
It was
Okay.
supposed to be in March. It originally would be March in LA. Now it's April 10th and 11th at Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah, 2 days again. 2 days.
Two
again.
nights,
Yeah.
and I hear that there's going to be about 25,000 people each night. So I don't know what I would assume that's no more than a third or so of the total capacity of that stadium.
Yeah.
So there is going to be some distancing. But I'll ask you guys here. You know, I have mixed feelings because I want to see a WrestleMania with a crowd, but I don't want to see a WrestleMania with a crowd so bad that it may put the public health in jeopardy. Is it too soon this April, even in an outdoor stadium, limited capacity, 1/3 capacity, is it too soon for WrestleMania to come back in person with fans? I'll go with Stu first.
There's part of me, there's the public health part of me that says yes. But at the same time, we saw the NFL. Some of the teams did it with some sort of success. So if the NFL can do it, why not Vince? We know Vince, and you know as well as I do, wrestling is as dependent on the fan base as any sport or form of entertainment there is. The way a match flows depends on the fans' reaction. So I do want to see fans in attendance at WrestleMania, but I want it safe. I want whether they do pods or they do, 3 or 4 and they spread them out. I don't want to see them clustered together in front of the hard camera. I want to see the dots like we've seen in the NFL season.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I know if you look at other sports, not just the NFL, I think the first sport to really kick off during COVID was Major League Soccer. They did a really great job. If you look at the UFC over in Abu Dhabi just yesterday, they had fans. Now, minor fans, of course, in attendance. But I think, like Stu said, when it comes to the NFL capacity of fans that were allowed, it was very staggered. You might see a pair of 5 people on one end, and then, maybe 2 rows up, another 5, or 2 rows to the side, another 5. If you stagger like that, you can do 25,000, not a problem in an NFL stadium. So I think that definitely would work. And I think it's going to be a telltale sign. This will be the pinnacle of wrestling moving forward. If this works, we can start looking at possibly SummerSlam. We can look at Survivor Series. We can look at more. We can look at maybe live crowds and getting rid of the Thunderdome and just doing it like that, staggered. It's going to be very dependent on how good WrestleMania turns out.
Now, so this year, they're planning, WWE's planning to have WrestleMania in person with a crowd, a limited crowd. Now, you remember last year, guys, WrestleMania for the first time had no crowd. And in fact, they didn't even have a Thunderdome or anything at the time. They didn't even have like people surrounding the ring. It was completely silent. So this is part of WrestleMania. Part of the awkwardness of WrestleMania last year was that it sounded a little like this.
And right back to the injured leg of Rhea Ripley. Oh, and a shot right to the face. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair are spent.
That was a real clip from WrestleMania last year. I remember watching that match on my laptop and I'm thinking, oh my God, like I don't want to have this too loud. My neighbors and my wife be wondering what I'm watching. So it was a little bit weird. So it's just a reminder that the ambient noise of the crowd and everything is part of it. And it was just really, really awkward to have a completely silent WrestleMania last year. I understand why they did it. And I guess that's better than putting people in risk, but man, that was weird. But this year, hopefully, guys, we will actually have a crowd there. If it's safe, crossing my fingers and hope everything's good this year, because I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to go through that awkward experience of having to turn down my laptop.
You said it. You said I think when I heard the audio, I could have guessed it, but WrestleMania would have not been in that guessing pool. I think so.
It was James Pledger's browsing history.
Exactly. I think that's what it was.
Incognito mode.
What I do on my time on the company computer is up to me.
Exactly.
Incognito mode.
Incognito.
Be sure to sign in as Rob Thompson when you do. That's what I do.
Please. However, here's the question to you guys now. Before we get out of here for a break, obviously the big question now becomes, if things get better, if this goes well, which obviously, like you said, Dan, fingers crossed, knock on wood, everything, get some sage and make sure everything goes well, whatever you got to do. However, if this goes well, are we going to WrestleMania in Dallas, in Arlington? Are we taking the chance and assuming that in a year's time, in 1 year, things will be better to have a full WrestleMania with a full crowd?
All four of us here, all of us got to go to WrestleMania. We got to be there. We'll let Florida be the guinea pigs.
Yes.
They'll be the human experiments. And
like always.
Just like life. We'll experiment on Florida, see what happens there. And hopefully it'll be safe by next year. AT&T Stadium, WrestleMania 2022. Hope they get all the kinks worked out.
And I hope you get the full WrestleMania weekend experience.
Yeah.
Let's hope independent wrestling comes back so we can see the different independent cards, WrestleCon, GCW. We hope to see, Ring of Honor brings, Supercard of Honor. Yep. That was my first Ring of Honor event was the weekend of WrestleMania 32. Thanks to Ray Rowe, now Eric, the Viking Raiders. I was there for, I think it was night one. And in fact, got to see Leo Rush live when he was still a rookie. That is a huge part of WrestleMania weekend, are those events that you get to go to outside of the big event.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's Stu Myrick from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. I'm Dangerous Dan Cialana with my tag team partner, Brandon Big Papi Medina, James Pledger running the gorilla position. This is Down for the Count on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at espnsa.com/wrestling.
He was successful in just using his mouth to get the man off.
Injuries happen. If you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need to know about the Sports Institute at TSAOG Orthopedics. From a minor sprain to a compound fracture, TSAOG has got you covered. Not all injuries require surgery. Dr. David Espinosa treats all non-operative orthopedic injuries and concussion baseline testing. Telemedicine services are available through Ortho Connect. If you're hurting, go to the Sports Institute at TSAOG Orthopedics. Online, TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com. In San Antonio, we have some of the hardest water in the country. Now, if your water has a bad taste or odd smell, you need to call Alamo Water Softeners. Jason Minix here. I've had a water softener in my home from Alamo Water Softeners for years. Wouldn't live without one. If you are already an Alamo Water Softeners customer, take advantage of their New Year special. Trade in or up on select systems and get up to a $400 credit. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference at alamowatersofteners.com. That's alamowatersofteners.com.
And now more Straight Talk from Straight Talk. The big wireless companies say they're the only way to get the best coverage.
Because they've got like a gajillion cell towers?
Something like that. But Straight Talk Wireless runs on those same towers, so you get the same great networks for up to 50% less.
I wonder if they're counting that one in Kickapoo, Kansas.
Oh boy. Switch today and get our unlimited plan for just $45 a month with 25 gigs at high speeds and no contract. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See straighttalk.com.
Heard the good news about COVID-19 vaccines? They're here, but you can do more than wait for your turn. Here's how. Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't live with. And it's risky to be indoors with them too. And masks? Well, they protect both the person wearing them and the folks around them. Wear a mask, watch your distance, and make a big difference now.
Learn more about vaccines at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you're a bacon lover, I've got great news for you. This is Michael Kilbasa with Kilbasa Smoked Meats. Our authentic dry-cured bacon is now available at grocery stores near you. We make it the old-fashioned way with the finest pork bellies and our legendary spice blend. We don't pump it full of water or chemicals like other brands. All you get is thick, savory slices of delicious bacon. I hope you'll give it a try. And if it's not the best bacon you've ever eaten, I'll give you your money back. Kielbasa Smoked Meats, slow crafted in Texas since 1949.
Slackers Sports and Arcade Bar, now with 4 San Antonio area locations, all open and all practicing strict social distancing guidelines. Come eat, drink, and enjoy safely at all 4 Slackers Sports and Arcade Bar locations. And get over to the newest location, Slackers Medical Center, now opening at 7 a.m. to serve our valued medical community. Nurses, doctors, frontline workers, and staff, we thank you. Slackers Medical Center, located at Fredericksburg and Medical Center, now open at 7 a.m. Visit slackersbarssa.com for more info.
What the? Whoa! What the hell?
Boys and
It's the place
girls.
to be! What is Your eyes do not deceive you. The iconic Big Money Matt Hardy, the Kingmaker, has returned to the Impact Zone.
What is going on, San Antonio? Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Down for the Count, your premier wrestling talk show on ESPN San Antonio. My name is Brandon Big Papi Medina. That is Dangerous Dan Cialana, and we are joined with our good buddy Stu Myrick over at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Guys, Impact Wrestling, a huge resurgence this past week, and what do we think about the Hard to Kill pay-per-view?
What do you think, Stu?
You know, I've been touting Impact Wrestling for quite some time. They have been on the uprise. Been able to talk to several of their guys, talk to the Good Brothers a lot. This working relationship, so to speak, with AEW has been interesting to say the least. Interesting that Matt Hardy and Private Party got to invade the Impact Zone. I think the last time we saw Matt Hardy there, he was broken. He was going on the procuring tag team titles right before he went to Ring of Honor with his brother Jeff. Did the title thing there, and then showed up at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando. So I've been a fan of Impact Wrestling. I love the fact that they brought in Matt Stryker and D'Lo Brown as commentators. I've had a chance to talk with Matt Stryker several times. Great guy. I think his work is underrated. I thought his work with Lucha Underground was fantastic.
Absolutely.
And D'Lo Brown, just, you know, such a knowledgeable man. So all in all, I think it's fun. I hope that whatever the end goal is between Impact and AEW, I hope both companies see success as a result of this, whatever you want to call it, this working relationship.
Yeah.
Crossover, the universe is crossing.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. Obviously, Dan, you know I am a sucker for anything insane and bloodthirsty, like Sami Callihan's match, like that match.
Oh, you're a violent man. You love violence.
The barbed wire craziness that happened there. But not only that, obviously seeing Kenny Omega on a smaller stage like that was very interesting. The Good Brothers were incredible. I completely agree with Stu. I think Matt Stryker, as well as Vampiro, super underrated guys behind the mic. As somebody who's a little younger, obviously, Dan, you know me, Stu, I'm only 24 going on 25. However, been a diehard fan. A person that I think is super underrated too that I haven't heard of since, I don't know what happened to him, but Joey Styles from the ECW days. I was a big fan of his work as far as commentating and stuff like that, just bringing energy. But this pay-per-view, guys, really, really impressed me. It was cool to see different wrestlers that I've known about from Ring of Honor, from New Japan, from whatever the case, but seeing them all on one stage and getting some attention. I mean, social media was blowing up, and this has to have been Impact's biggest day, at least in wrestling, over the past 3 to 5 years. I mean,
absolutely
it's huge.
And I got to ask you, Stu and Brandon, I don't know if I'm a jerk or not. I did not watch the pay-per-view.
Right.
And you know this, Brandon. Last week, I was getting all hyped because I'm like, yeah, let's watch this Sami Callihan thing. Let's watch this barbed wire. Let's watch this bloody thing. So I was very, very curious about Impact Wrestling, especially because of the AEW crossover. However, I was not $40 curious. And I'm sorry to say that it was hard for me to buy a pay-per-view just because Kenny Omega was going to be there. You know, it's like, all right, well, I mean, if you guys bought it, God bless you. But I don't know how many people actually got this. How many people actually are interested in paying $40 for a TV show for Impact Wrestling that it's hard to find.
I think that having things like the WWE Network, NJPW World, Ring of Honor, Honor Club, I think that's, for lack of a better term, spoiled wrestling fans.
Yes.
Because I hear the same thing about AEW. Why do I want to pay $40-$50 for a wrestling pay-per-view? Now, again, it's a matter of how invested do you want to be with this company or that company. I will go back, I'll go back to last year. Slammiversary was their big one when they brought in a lot of the talent that were cut by WWE, like the Good Brothers, like Brian Myers. You saw a lot of that infusion of talent. Mm-hmm. At the same time, they've done their best to get rid, for lack of a better term, of the TNA stink. It looks
awful.
It's nothing like, say, when Dixie Carter ran it, and I like Jeff Jarrett, but when Jeff ran it, it's a different company, and I think they had the basis, and I thought they were getting really good. Obviously, the exposure with AEW has bumped it up to another level.
Yeah, 100%. I think this exposure was much needed for Impact Wrestling. I look forward to seeing what else they do. I will agree, though. I've been saying this, Dan, for at least the past year that we've been doing the show. I've been saying High Spots Network, if you're looking to jump on something that's independent, Impact, those companies need to come together and somehow do something like this. And if you need to charge more than just, $10 a month or whatever the case, maybe it's $15 a month because there's so much, or $20 a month, whatever, but $40 for one pay-per-view, that's very, very old time thinking. It's not with the times. It's not with streaming. It's not with the budgeting that I think people have already got accustomed to. And so I firmly believe High Spots Network, like, the New Japan World, Ring of Honor Club, all that stuff. I think that together, New Japan has their own fan base, of course. That's like, that's big enough to do their own thing. But I think Ring of Honor, Impact, some other companies, GZW, whatever the case, can get together, start something like that, a streaming service. I think that would change the game massively for very intrigued and very diehard wrestling fans like ourselves.
I think part of the problem is going to be that Impact Wrestling wants to do its own thing. They're not going to want to pair up with, say, a High Spots. And I've been on High Spots through Inspire, now Inspire AD, used to be Inspire Pro Wrestling here in Austin. But they're going to want to do their own thing, just like Ring of Honor with Honor Club, just like New Japan with New Japan World. They're going to want their own thing. Now, they've got an app called the Impact Plus. How they work their pay-per-views into that, and they already do these, for lack of a better term, B-level pay-per-views. Like they've got one coming up, No Surrender. They just did one before Hard to Kill. That's where they need to figure out how to work these in and bring that price point down to what wrestling fans expect now. Again, AEW is in a totally different realm. And they're going to keep it because but at the same time, they're only doing 4 or 5 pay-per-views. Kind of like the way it was way back when I was a teenager, back in the 80s and 90s, when you only had 2 or 3 companies that were doing 2 or 3 national companies.
But AEW is also on TNT. They're on basic cable, so you can find them very easily. I mean, I think we were even joking on the air a couple weeks ago about, we said, hey, Pledger, like, how do you look up online how to order the Impact Wrestling pay-per-view? And honestly, like, even for like, I wanted to watch Impact on Tuesday, I was like, I think you go to Twitch. I don't know, or Twitch or TikTok or something like that. I don't know.
Either Twitch, or if you're lucky, you have Access TV on your cable system.
It's just hard to find. It's too hard to find. Obviously,
not the first time Brandon's heard that.
Listen, Ring of Honor has had some of the same troubles. I think here's the big deal though, Dan and Stu. I think you'll agree with me pretty heavily. If wrestling fans want to watch it, you're going to find it. You're going to do what you need to do to find it.
So you're saying I'm not a real fan. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying
That's
is
what you're saying.
We stay up for New Japan Pro Wrestling. We stay up for Wrestle Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
We find Wrestle Kingdom. We figure that out. We lose sleep to watch New Japan. It's not that hard. We're very blessed with this thing called the internet that you can find anything you need to do.
The only thing is, you're absolutely correct. For somebody that maybe is a casual fan, it's just way too hard to find. And then not only that, to pay that price point, it's just not going to happen for most.
Right. Well, and again, Access TV does not have the exposure on cable that a TNT does or USA Network for WWE. Ring of Honor, their problem is they're owned by a broadcasting corporation, Sinclair, which has all these affiliates all across the country. Plus, they've got all the regional sports networks, Fox Sports Southwest here in Austin and San Antonio. So but at the same time, it's different times. So it's still a little weird. Ring of Honor has a reputation. They've been getting better. They've got some incredible talent, from Dak Draper, Danhausen, the guys that are running with Shane Taylor, those guys. Like you said, yes, if you are a hardcore wrestling fan, you're going to find it. If you're a casual fan, it may be a little harder.
Now, Brandon, we only have a couple more minutes left with Stu Myrick here from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. So I want to switch gears and ask you, Stu, about something controversial that our friend Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, said. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was a little bit critical of the current product at WWE. Here's what The Undertaker had to say about what's wrong with today's WWE.
Do you still follow WWE now? Are you still...
Yeah, because I think once things kind of starting to lighten up, hopefully.
Can you enjoy it as a fan, or is it like, are you too close to it?
I try. It's tough right now for me because the product has changed so much, and it's kind of soft.
Are you gonna get in trouble for saying that?
Probably. I probably piss a lot of people off, but they need to hear it. I mean, it is what it is. But to the young guys, he's a bitter old guy. I'm not bitter. I did my time. I'm good. I walked away when I wanted to walk away. I just think the product is a little soft. There's guys here and there that have an edge to them. But there's too much pretty, not enough substance, I think, right now.
Stu Myrick, I love The Undertaker. I know everybody on this screen and everybody listening loves Mark Calloway, The Undertaker. But Stu, is The Undertaker kind of going into okay boomer category here, where he's just one of these old guys who are just like, things aren't as, wrestling peaked in 1971, everything after that sucks. What's wrong? Is The Undertaker right?
I would say, and realize I'm in the same city as The Undertaker and Joe Rogan, for that matter. My guess is he just walked across the street, because I think they live in the same neighborhood. I don't think it's quite that bad, and I'm lucky enough. I get to go to Wichita Falls for the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame induction every year. I've been to Cauliflower Alley Club. I've heard a lot of those legends, a lot of the old timers. Undertaker hasn't gotten close to that. Is he right? I think there might be a case to be made for it. It is definitely different. It is not as, for lack of a better term, rough as it was when he was trying to get discovered by Fritz von Erich. And there are different things. Wrestlers today, way back then when he got started, and even before, it was almost expected in the locker room for them to have cold beer, whiskey, play cards, whatever. Now, not so much.
Video games.
It's video games. It's talking anime. And I've been in some of those independent locker rooms. Believe me, I've seen it. I had Mike Sempervive on my show a couple weeks ago from Wrestling Observer, and we talked about the fact that we are all sports guys. Yes, we love wrestling, but we also love football and baseball and basketball, as Mike. Our breed is starting to not be as prevalent. It's more of the, and I'm like Undertaker. I'm probably gonna make some people mad.
Uh-oh.
But it is more of the comic book, video game, anime crowd, and not as much, just sports guys. Sports.
But also, it's less drugs, it's less backstage abuse, less ribbing, less sexism, less everything bad.
Yes.
Racism.
So,
and for that,
racism, everything, less underage,
yes,
ring girl action going on,
And for that, I am grateful. I'm so glad that we've gotten past that. But there are certain things that they have also gotten past that maybe should find a way to return.
Maybe a healthy medium. I don't want to go back to the old days where before there was a wellness policy, back when the guys and girls in wrestling felt like they needed to be drunk all the time or be on painkillers to get through everything because the companies were not taking care of them. Now they make fun of them. Oh, the young guys, they got catering. It's like, you know what? I want them to do better. I want the wrestlers these days to not have the same struggles as the old wrestlers did because I want them to live longer. And apparently that makes me, soy boy millennial here. But
I couldn't agree more. Believe me. Again, I see a lot of those legends. I've been able to sit down with a lot of those legends. One of my most, and I'll wrap up with this. One of my most favorite memories is I was hired. I was doing ring announcing for a promotion up north of Dallas. I got there early. There is James Beard, our good friend, former NWA referee, world-class referee, and Killer Tim Brooks, the late Killer Tim Brooks. And I just sat down and listened to them tell stories for at least 2 hours. And it was two of the best hours I could ever remember. But to see Killer in the shape he's in, and yes, he's an older man, but to see him in that shape and to see some of these legends that are in the shape they are. I work a lot with NFL alumni here in Austin. So I understand being around football legends, and they've been beat up. These wrestling legends have been beat up too. So if a lot of that goes away to where a Kofi Kingston doesn't end up as bad, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Well, Stu Myrick, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, always good to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us. We love talking to you. How do we find you online, Stu?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick, STEWMYRICK. Find Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on Twitter at SGTWATX and on Instagram at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. And of course, we air Wednesday nights on the Horn here in Austin, the flagship station of the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, Brandon, hopefully Stu will send us that
credentials,
the credentials for Impact Wrestling, or
maybe just slide them. Listen, we all get around. Maybe we'll figure it out. However,
if it landed in my lap, I'd be okay with that.
Exactly. However, we're going from our buddy over there at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling to Wrestlers Talking Trash. We got to be talking about this Mark Henry Ryback situation. That's going to be a fun one. Keep it locked. 94.5 FM, 1250 AM. You are live with Down for the Count on ESPN San Antonio. You can follow us online as well as follow the show at ESPNSA.com/wrestling.
If you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
A great meal starts with great meat. Rob and Jason here for Tri-County Meat Market, the best meat market in San Antonio. It's locally owned and full service. Tri-County has carefully selected certified prime Angus beef cuts, Wagyu, and upper choice.
Tri-County has everything you need to up your grilling game, from beef, chicken, pork, fajitas, poppers, and more. Stock up on their Pick 5 for $25. Tri-County Meat Market, 2 locations on Ralphdale Road and on Huebner Road, and online at tricountymeat.com.
America's Diamond offers our 5-year, 60-month financing program every day of the year. You don't have to wait for a sale to get 5-year financing with credit approval, or wait for a sale to get our guaranteed America's Diamond price, because we treat everyone fairly and with respect every day of the year. For almost 40 years, we have designed and created our extraordinary diamond jewelry right here in San Antonio. When you buy at America's Diamond, your money stays in San Antonio. Our whole company is located here and locally owned. Our kids and grandkids go to school here. All 40 of our coworkers live and shop in San Antonio for everything. Through the years, America's Diamond has supported thousands of wonderful charity events in San Antonio. We're the official jeweler of the San Antonio Spurs and of the University of Texas at San Antonio Athletics. Our television program about diamonds and jewelry tonight on ABC KSAT 12 at 12:35 a.m. or see it right now at americasdiamond.com.
Panera's new flatbread pizzas are here, but to our new chef, Klaus, they're not just pizzas, they're masterpieces. Because it's not just cheese, it's hot and melty mozzarella and fontina cheese. It's not just sauce, it's market tomato red bell pepper sauce. And it's not just toppings, it's fresh mozzarella, basil, and grape tomatoes. Taste our delicious new flatbread pizzas today. Order online for pickup or delivery. Panera. Restrictions apply.
Beachcombing, baking cookies, learning French. Aren't these what you'd rather be doing than thinking about your Medicare prescriptions? Well, Walgreens is here to help you get back to it with convenient refill and pickup options, expert pharmacists to answer all your questions, and Medicare copays as low as $0. Zero. Which is also the number of cares in the world you'll have as you stroll the beach, eating cookies and speaking French. Oh la la. Walgreens.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans where Walgreens is a preferred pharmacy.
Nobody plans on getting arrested, but it happens. Get out of jail fast by calling my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. Call AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans and are open 24/7. Call AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
The left leg is trapped between the cage and the post.
And that's a dangerous spot to be. His leg could be snapped right now.
And doing just that, almost like a modified stretch muffler.
Hung out to try. It's Tommaso Ciampa, that surgically repaired knee of his.
And Ciampa gonna tap out inside the fight.
It's over.
Here is your winner by submission, Timothy Thatcher.
Timothy Thatcher, undefeated in the fight pit.
That was from last night's NXT. Timothy Thatcher defeating Tommaso Ciampa.
In the fight pit.
Yeah, someone who's undefeated. I'm undefeated. He's undefeated. I'm Dangerous Dan Cialana. He's my tag team partner, Brandon Big Papi Medina. Also undefeated. James Pledger running the gorilla position.
James Pledger has to have a huge undefeated streak. The guy is always here 24/7.
I'm sorry, you cut out. He has a huge what?
I'm sorry. He has a huge anyway,
that's what I
James
hear.
Pledger. James Pledger is the man. Obviously, he is the man with the plan, running in things backstage for us, so we appreciate that. Hey guys, check us out on Facebook Live. We are here to answer any questions. Tune in with us.
Are we?
Yeah,
on camera?
Absolutely. Hey, listen.
Crap.
Hey, come on now. However, if you can't find us on Facebook Live, you can find us on Twitter. He is at Dan for the Count. I am at Big Papi. Brandon M. James Pledger is at I Am Pledger. And our beautiful show is on Twitter, where you can follow all the podcasts, check us out, talk to us. Obviously, we'll ignore you, but talk to us, no doubt. However, that is at DFTC Podcast and at DFTC Wrestling Podcast on Facebook. Now, Dan Cialana, let me talk to you, brother. Listen, me and you are good friends, right, man?
Yeah.
And you would never say something, pretty harsh behind my back, would you?
Hurtful? No.
Of course.
No.
However, Dan, me and you, I think, care about success, right? We care about championships.
We do. We take this seriously. Even though we make wee jokes on the air, we do take this sports and entertainment form of wrestling very seriously.
Absolutely. However, one person that does not to not many people's surprise, because he looks like an awful person, is Mr. Ryback. If you remember that, Mr. Feed Me More. Ryback made some questionable comments that got one of the nicest guys, I believe, ever in wrestling, Mr. Mark Henry, who's an Olympian, literally, one of the strongest men in the world, pissed him off enough to make some comments on his show. Did you hear about this, Dan? How'd you hear about this?
I did, and what Ryback said, it was a thing where, like, he picked a fight. Ryback picked a fight that he did not need to pick.
Yes.
It was just WWE on Fox just randomly a few days ago put out a tweet saying, hey, just kind of a, just a fun thing saying, hey, who's the best superstar to never win the WWE championship? And former WWE wrestler, Ryback says he tweeted back, wrestling's fake, guys, and the championships are props to market entertainers as champions. Ryback continues, nobody has actually ever won or lost a prop, as scripted physical entertainment is incapable of that. This tweet explains so much, though, on your TV deal with them. So Ryback used that that word, that F word. We can call it entertainment. We can call wrestling predetermined, but we cannot use that F word about wrestling. And obviously it upset a lot of people. And on the Busted Open radio show, Mark Henry had this to say about Ryback.
You're an asshole. And I hope you know how to fight for real, because you know, and I know, there's a lot of people that'll whoop your ass. If I saw you, I would tell you, hey man, you're an asshole. And if you want it with me, you could get the first one. Go ahead. Your punches taste like candy. And it's a bunch of guys out there that feel the same way that I do, the way you talk on our business. I feed my family with this business. This show, hey, it's a show about wrestling. I'm not an active talent. I'm not an employee, but I love the business enough to not let you sit here and talk shit and trivialize it because you failed, because you didn't achieve, that you didn't become a champion. So you feel like it's something that's given. It's a prop. You're wrong.
Wow.
Brandon, can you explain? Some people may not understand and go, hey, wrestling's entertainment. It's not a, quote, real sport, but why does this word fake offend so many wrestlers and people and wrestling fans in general? How come you can say it's entertainment, but people get upset when they call it fake?
Before I answer that, Dan, I just want to say, if you ever catch me on the South Side, that's going to be my number one go-to thing now. Your punches taste like candy. That's the hardest thing I ever heard in my entire life. Anyways, when it comes to that beautiful F word, not the 4-letter one, well, I guess it is a 4-letter one.
It is 4 letters.
Yeah, exactly. However, when it comes to calling wrestling fake, I think what really gets people, upset and what really gets them heated is the fact that we have lost so many wrestlers. It's a proven fact, Dan. You and I both know, I'm sure Pleasure knows, you can go look statistically, wrestlers have died younger than any other sport. I mean, in NFL, than anything else. They don't have health care a lot of times. They're not considered full-time workers. They're considered, what is it? What is
independent contractors.
Independent contractors. So, health care, hotel stays, flights,
pay their dues, stuff. And when you're working the indie circuit, you're getting
Even
paid
worse.
$20 and just like, and you miss your family and you sacrifice everything.
Yes.
And even though yes, it is entertainment, it's predetermined, but when you call something fake, if I call you a fake, Brandon, if you're an actor, let's just say you were on a stage or on TV, and I said, okay, you're an actor, you're playing a role, but if I say, Brandon, you're a fake, that means I think you're a phony and that you're trying to rip someone off and you're trying to deceive someone. So that's why people get so upset with the word fake. And Ryback, he's been a wrestler. He should know better. It's almost, he just wanted, and we're playing into his whole thing because apparently he just wants to be talked about because who the hell's talking about Ryback?
Yeah, exactly.
He's disrespectful. It's rude. And people could say it's just a word. It's just a word. But all the wrestlers we've had on this show, all of them have made sacrifices. Huge, their bodies, their everything, their time. Some of them lost marriages. They've lost years of their life. And what they do hurts. It's not a trampoline. The wrestling ring is not a trampoline. So to call it fake, and for Ryback to call it fake, it was just BS.
Not only
and
that,
I hope Mark Henry doesn't get a chance to I think someone's going to get his ass whooped.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, absolutely. But not only that, Dan, you look at the mental challenges as well that we've seen wrestlers go off the deep end. We've seen wrestlers commit crimes. We've seen wrestlers overdose. We've seen wrestlers commit suicide. I mean, it is unlike any other sport. There is no off season. We've said this so many times. You are on the road, away from family, getting hurt. My good friend, shout out to my buddy Michael Tani. He used to try to wrestle. Dan, this guy, I've known him since I was 7. Me and him close. He was living the boyhood dream. He wanted to be a wrestler. Go be a wrestler. He went, Dan, every day in high school, he'd come over to my house, and his back would be black and bruised. There's times his back would be bleeding from taking chair shots or practicing body slams. I mean, it's no joke. And the thing is, whether what you're seeing on TV resonates with you or not, the training mats and the ring itself is wood, and then it has springs, but this is not a trampoline. So, I mean, you look at guys like a Ric Flair. You look at the people who can't even walk. Mick Foley, broken almost every single bone in his damn body. You look at, Kurt Angle, who has to bend his knees when he walks because his knees are so shot. That guy is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, and his body has been through so much where he can barely walk now. I mean, there's nothing fake about it besides the fact that it's scripted, and even then, it does not do justice to call the sport itself fake, simply for the sacrifices of their own bodies, limbs, and lives in general.
And I don't want to talk about Ryback too much longer here, and I know we got to go to break, but Ryback says, no one's ever really won a wrestling championship. Okay, yes, the company puts you in that role, but every single person, except for a few, but most of the people who win championships in wrestling, yes, it is given to them by the company, but it's given to them because they've earned it.
Right.
It's not simply a prop, and Ryback should know better. So before we go to break, all of us here on camera, raise your hand if you believe. I'm going to do a scientific poll here.
Okay,
raise your hand if Ryback is an a-hole.
Easy.
I count 1, 2,
3.
3 people on camera. So it's unanimous. There will be no recount. There will be no court cases. Ryback is an a-hole.
That's what I'm talking about. No stop the count. The vote is in. That's what I'm talking about. Keep it locked in. 94.5 FM, 1250 AM. And we come back, we are going to be talking about what happened today in wrestling history, as well as saying our beautiful goodbyes. This is Down for the Count. Keep it locked on ESPN San Antonio and follow us online at espnsa.com/wrestling.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. A Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 6677 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 6677. Enjoy!
Does it feel like finding clothes in your fit is impossible? Tired of feeling overwhelmed with options that just aren't right? Let the experts at Stitch Fix do the shopping for you. At Stitch Fix, we make sure each piece is hand-selected for your life. So whether you're staying home or on the go, Stitch Fix has the answer for what to wear. We make it easy to find what works for you. Signing up takes just a few minutes, and styles are delivered directly to your door. Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, your style delivered.
He put him into the post! He put perfect into the post!
Actually, he was saved by the post that time, I think.
Saved? How do you get saved hitting the post?
Well, it would have been the post. He'd have gone over the top. Here he goes! Yes!
I don't believe it! Uncle Royal Rumble! World Wrestling Federation Champion! Hogan!
Yeah! Hulkmania will live forever!
Brandon, did you recognize those voices on commentary?
That was such a blast from the past.
It was.
So we got
Tony Schiavone.
And Ventura, right?
Jesse Ventura and Tony Schiavone.
Yes.
Or Skivone, as Jericho likes to call him. Actually, so yeah, Tony Schiavone spent a very short time in WWE, maybe 2 or 3 years at the most. So yeah, that your ears did not deceive you. The guy you guys know as a WCW guy and AEW guy spent a little time in Stamford, Connecticut for WWF. That was Royal Rumble 1990, 31 years ago today. WWF champion Hulk Hogan eliminates Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, to win the Royal Rumble. And this was just for funsies because he was already the champion. It was just for bragging rights. So
that's all it was.
Good
that's
times.
all it was. That was when Hulk Hogan was doing his thing, throwing N-words around, going crazy. That's what I'm talking about.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. But I know 1990 Royal Rumble.
Keep it positive here.
I believe it was considered one of the best Rumbles, actually, that 90 Royal Rumble. I believe there was a bunch of Hall of Famers in that Rumble. So that's definitely one to go watch if you have the WWE Network. Obviously, we have the Royal Rumble coming up next weekend, Dan. Is the excitement picking up? Here's the thing. First things first. What would you change about the marketing for the Royal Rumble?
I would want it to be like the old. Okay, I'm sounding like an old guy again, but
here we go.
I don't like how WWE wrestlers just get on TV and declare themselves like,
dude,
I'm in the Royal Rumble.
Here
like,
we go.
Can we just pretend like that there's some kind of authority figure and that you actually have to earn your way into the Royal Rumble? That used to be the thing. You go up to, the general manager and say, I want to be in the Royal Rumble. And you prove yourself. You couldn't just get on TV and be like, hey, everybody, I'm going to be in the Royal Rumble. That's not how life works.
No, sadly. However, I agree with you, Dan, and I'm going to add a little layer to that. I miss the old early 2000s days whenever it was kind of like a lotto and you had to go pick your own ball and then nobody knew what number you were.
Yeah, all the balls would be in there and you had to grab them
Exactly.
and to see where you would enter in
But just one
the
ball.
Royal Rumble.
Just one ball.
Oh, you grab one ball.
Yeah, one ball. Just like, you can't grab a handful.
You'd have the
of
drawing.
balls.
And famously, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, actually paid someone off and actually got number 30 one time. But then the next year he drew number 1. So he got what was coming to him.
Yeah.
What color were those balls?
Well, it depends. I think it I don't know. It depends on how well they were taken care of, I guess.
Yeah, depends if they were moisturized and stuff. But I think, looking at it, I really enjoyed those old Royal Rumbles. So I think we'll see what's going to happen. But I agree. I think these days, Dan, I feel like maybe 16 of the 30 entrants are really interesting, and the others are kind of just thrown together. I really hope they push more NXT like they did last year. This last Rumble was actually really fun to watch. Obviously, we've already given our predictions, but with Royal Rumble just around the corner, Dan, how excited are you, and do you think WWE still has a way to go to build up the excitement for fans like us?
I'm always excited for the Royal Rumble. I don't recall any Royal Rumble that I never actually enjoyed. I even enjoyed those quote-unquote greatest Royal Rumbles that were in Saudi Arabia. And WWE considers those canon, so we're stuck with them forever. Royal Rumble is always fun. It's a good wrestling pay-per-view to watch with someone who's maybe not a big fan, or because it's fun. It's like, who's going to come out? There's always surprises. I still go with my prediction that The Rock will be the winner of the Royal Rumble.
Get out of here.
The Rock will be the winner of the Royal Rumble. He will come out number 30 and win the Royal Rumble on January 31st on the WWE Network. That is going to happen. That must happen. That is our destiny.
Here's a promise. If The Rock does that, everybody, we're going to be doing a 2-hour show. We're going to fight. We're going to be fighting everybody tooth and nail, because the whole hour is going to be talking about The Rock coming back to WWE. It's going to be incredible. I love it. I know even people who are moderate fans, Dan, this is what makes people want to tune into wrestling. The Royal Rumble, I think, speaks for itself above just WrestleMania, because this is where storylines start to become determined. And this is where true major players in wrestling start to really, I guess, spread their wings. And, these superstars really become superstars and come into their own. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And Royal Rumble is the official start to the road to WrestleMania.
Yes.
And it's a fun time. If there's any time it's really fun to be a wrestling fan, it's between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Looking forward to it. It's going to be great. So we have one more week next week to fight about how The Rock's going to win the Royal Rumble.
Yes, yeah,
it's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
We will definitely fight about it. However, I mean, Dan, are you a fan at all of going to look at old Rumbles to prepare for this one? I'm that type of guy where I get so excited. Next week, all I'm going to be doing is watching old Rumble pay-per-views, at least the Royal Rumble themselves, just to get excited and think about who might be coming up in this one.
I think so. I think that's a good idea, and I think one Royal Rumble everyone should go watch back again from back in the day. I think it was Royal Rumble like 92 or 93. This was when Ric Flair won. Ric Flair won with the help of Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
Because Hulk Hogan, let's see what happened. No, Hulk Hogan, yeah, he helped Ric Flair win. Sid Justice, and then he was fighting with Sid Justice. And I think my theory is this was Hulk Hogan's actual heel turn because he helped a bad guy win. That was the original Hulk Hogan heel turn. And then he got in that rivalry with Sid Justice. It's good times. I think it was 92 or 93. And that was the first time that the Royal Rumble actually decided the winner of the WWF Championship. So Ric Flair won his first WWF Championship at that Royal Rumble.
There you go. Historian Dan Cialana. I think the 99 Royal Rumble with Stone Cold was incredible, as well as the 2007 Royal Rumble that was here in San Antonio. If you haven't seen that one, that's the first with ECW and some of the hardcore legends. You have tables in there, chairs in there. That was one of the most wild Royal Rumbles. So if you're looking, obviously make sure to tune into WWE Network. Dan, that is going to be January 31st, correct?
Yep.
All righty.
Yep, a week from Sunday.
We are on the road to WrestleMania, Dan Cialana.
We are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. This is Down for the Count on ESPN San Antonio. Once again, follow us at DFTC Podcast on Twitter, at DFTC Wrestling Podcast on Facebook. You can follow Dan at Dan for the Count, as well as myself at Big Poppy Brennan M, and Pledger at I Am Pledger. And that's the bottom line, because Down for the Count
said so.
Follow Down for the Count on Twitter at DFTC Podcast.
It's time for the conference champion.